GM, welcome to Web3 Academy, your trusted source for useful and legitimate information to remain on the forefront of the internet revolution. I'm Jay Bird, as always joined by my co-host, Kyle Reedhead, and we believe that Web3 is going to change the world. That's why we're here to guide the world's top talent into this space to contribute, get ahead of the curve, and capitalize on the opportunity. Kyle, what's going on in the roll-up this week?
We've got a big week. As per usual, we're going to start things off with the chart of the week, which is going to uncover an on-chain bull run in an off-chain bear market. Some pretty cool stuff happening here. We're going to talk about, thank you, I like that. We're going to talk about the long-awaited Blur airdrop, which dropped yesterday. A bunch of people are making some money. So of course, we got to talk about that. Veefriends just launched Burn Island, a deflationary technology, which proves that Gary Vaynerchuk is in fact a Web3 Pro subscriber because he gets tokenomics. So you're welcome, Gary V, for the heads up. Shopify goes Web3. Big news. And there was in fact an NFT Super Bowl commercial like we predicted last week, and it sucked. I'm not going to lie. It was terrible. They might have another opinion on that, but that's my opinion. And we'll talk more about that. And finally, the SEC is coming after us. Crypto Twitter's losing their minds. Let's all calm down. We're going to walk you through what's going on here. Don't worry. Everything's all good. Web3 is thriving, and this is going to be a great episode.
Love it. All right, let's start with some gratitude before we jump in. Kai, what are you grateful for this week?
I am grateful for my parents who came to visit me last weekend in Toronto. I actually gave them tickets to the Toronto Maple Leafs game for Christmas, and so that game was this weekend. So we went out, we watched the Leafs game, then we went for some drinks, we played some shuffleboard at a dive bar, all the fun things that I do with my parents, and it was a great weekend. So I was happy to have them here.
That's awesome. I am grateful that Sam, my wife, is finally showing her pregnant belly.
Oh, it's about time.
Yeah, in the first trimester, you couldn't really tell she was pregnant. And now we're about halfway through the pregnancy, and you can really see her belly. And it's so exciting. I don't know how else to put it. It's just, I see that thing and I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's my little guy in there. So Sam, thanks for wearing crop tops around the house and showing off your belly.
Go get it, Sam. You get it, girl. All right, before we get into things, let's start with a quick announcement. For those that are watching, what you can see up on the screen right now is a conference that I'm actually going to be speaking at called the Creator Economy Expo. Their abbreviation is CEX, C-E-X, which is awesome for the crypto world because that just makes sense. But anyway, this is an in-person event in Cleveland on May 1st to 3rd for content creators. And I know many of you that listen to this podcast are content creators. There are some amazing discussions going on at this conference. Highly recommend you check it out if you can or are in Cleveland on May 1st to 3rd. And of course, Pro members will receive $100 off their conference ticket. So if you sign up to Pro, or if you're already a Pro member, you just go check out your Pro reports or head into the Discord where there's a perks channel specific for you. You get $100 off your ticket. But I'm going to be speaking on the third day, I believe, May 3rd. Going to be talking about the great migration from online to on-chain, as well as sustainable Web3 business models for creators. So if you're a listener, you want to come check it out, please do. And let me know if you're going to come. That would be amazing. I'd love to meet you over there.
Sweet. Great hookup for Pro members. I like that. A little discount at a conference. That's great. Check that out, everybody.
Well, we're going to try and do that every week. All right. Before we get into the episode and start off with our chart of the week, let's take a quick second to hear from our sponsors.
The future of social media is here, and that future lives in Web3 on top of Lens protocol. Web2 social platforms are broken and ripe for disruption. You see, the epicenter of social media is the creators, and yet they are the most neglected. Web2 platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram are all essentially robbing creators of their worth. Creators are a new type of entrepreneur, forming new types of businesses. Yet with Web2 platforms, creators don't own their content or the profiles, and that's their product and business. Instead, they are tied to the platforms they choose to create on. Well, just like how crypto is freeing us from banks, Web3 is freeing us from these centralized platforms. On Lens Protocol, creators own their content, own their profile, and even their social graph and followers in the form of NFTs. This allows you to move freely from one social application to another with your content, profile, and followers moving along with you. Lens Protocol enables self-sovereignty for your social graph and interoperability across the internet. At Web3 Academy, we believe this is the future of social, and that's why we've partnered with Lens to ensure that the path of social media is heading in the right direction. Visit lens.xyz to learn more today.
Are you building a community around your brand? Well, listen to this. At Web3 Academy, our motto is community first, profit second. Why? Because engaged communities tell you exactly how to improve your product and ultimately drive growth. They act as team members, recruiting new customers and providing crucial feedback. And they become brand superfans, sticking by you through thick and thin. But to engage your community, you must first understand them. That's where Chasm comes in. Chasm is our go-to Web3 tool for managing and understanding our community members. It combines both on-chain and Web2 metrics all in one user-friendly dashboard. With Chasm, you'll know things like which other communities your members are part of and which of your campaigns are truly driving results. That's why at Web3 Academy, we use Chasm to launch campaigns, optimize growth, engage our community members, and automate workflows with this all-in-one tool. If your community is already on chain, get to know them better with Chasm. Head to chasm.xyz using the link in the description and discover why top brands like Immutable, Nifty Labs, and Collab Land are using Chasm. All right, welcome back. Let's start off with the chart of the week. We're looking at a chart of Ethereum to see, is Ethereum scaling? Kai, what's going on here?
Yeah, so this was a fun one for me. I've been wanting to get the data of Ethereum plus its layer 2 ecosystem all together. A lot of people that are looking at what's going on in Ethereum are looking at just Ethereum. And we know that Ethereum is now what's called a modular blockchain. So it's got a bunch of layer 2s that plug into it. And so a lot of the activity is no longer happening on Ethereum. It's happening on its layer 2s. And so what we need to do when we look at transactions and things, which is what we have on this chart here, we need to combine them all. If we want to see what's happening with Ethereum, it's no longer just Ethereum, it's actually the whole ecosystem. And so when it looks like Ethereum is actually decreasing in transactions over this bear market, when we add its layer 2s on top of it in terms of weekly transactions, which we can see in this picture here, we can see that it's actually reaching all-time highs every single day right now when we add, this is Arbitrum and Optimism added onto it. It's actually pretty much double its transactions. And what's really cool is if we look down on the yellow line, which is the gas price of Ethereum, we can see that even though we are at double all-time highs ever for Ethereum transactions, the transactions that Ethereum is actually settling, the gas price is still not as low as it's been, but it's still remaining very, very low considering the amount of activity. Now, this is just Arbitrum and Optimism. There's 30 layer 2s that are all plugged into Ethereum, and there's one that's even bigger. And if you scroll over to the right, Jay, on the chart here, we have another chart. This one is Ethereum, Arbitrum, Optimism, and Polygon. When we look at that, we are 5x, more than 5x actually, the total transactions that are being settled. Now, Polygon is not settling transactions on Ethereum per se, but it is part of the Ethereum ecosystem. And so we go from, I don't know, what was it, around 5 million transactions per week on Ethereum to almost 40 million per week when we include Polygon. It's pretty amazing to see that the Ethereum ecosystem throughout this entire bear market, if we look at layer 2s, if we look at Polygon, is actually going pretty much parabolic. And this is true of basically all of the metrics in terms of new NFTs being launched, new tokens being launched, new users, like all the things. So these charts are pretty amazing. We just did a report that came out actually today, this morning, called as Ethereum Scaling on the pro side of things. And it walks you through all of this and kind of guides you through what's actually happening in the Ethereum ecosystem and telling the story through charts. It's really, really, really cool. Fascinating to see. It was super exciting.
Very well done on that report, Kai. Gave it a read yesterday and it was so well done. Everyone's going to want to check that out. And there's so much to learn from the Ethereum ecosystem. It's such a great case study that everybody can learn from. So you're going to want to check that out. Bullish on Ethereum as always. We love it. Kai, let's jump into the first story of the week.
Bullish on Web3 as always. All right. Just bullish on the whole space in general. Ethereum just happens to be the thing that enables much of it to happen. But anyway, all right. So big news, Blur, which is an NFT marketplace, has had their long awaited airdrop, which finally happened yesterday. So Blur is a low fee, optional royalty NFT marketplace. We've talked a lot about Blur over the last few weeks here. It's mainly designed for like pro traders, but we'll see. They've got a lot of new features, a lot of new things coming out, but it's gained a lot of traction in the last few months. And though we're not sure how real that traction is per se just yet. And the reason is whenever there's a token coming out from an NFT marketplace, we saw this with LooksRare in 2020, well, early 2022. We saw this with X2Y2. Whenever they're launching a token, traders going to trade, and they come in and they start just farming and wash trading and doing all this stuff. Wash trading is where you own two wallets and you just keep sending and buying and selling the same NFT back and forth. And as a result, you can earn a bunch of these tokens. So the volume of Blur has been massive. It's actually beaten OpenSea, I think yesterday. It had more sales volume for NFTs than OpenSea itself. And OpenSea has been the dominant player since 2017. Now, a lot of that is likely due to just people trying to farm this airdrop, which gave quite a bit of money to some people. So the biggest earner of this airdrop earned $3.2 million in Blur tokens. So that's pretty cool, I guess. But most people were earning in the thousands. So it's pretty impressive. However, if you're an American, you can thank the SEC, which we're going to talk about later, for protecting you because they didn't allow you to claim your airdrop, unfortunately. So if you were American, you were not allowed to participate in this. Pro tip, though, if you use a VPN, you can claim your tokens. So there it is. There's your alpha for today. But anyway, a lot of big things coming out of Blur. It's exciting to see. The big thing that Blur did here is they sort of copied LooksRare and what they did in terms of, launching with a token, et cetera, and it gets a bunch of people interested. The way that they launched the token is they did it in some ways where it tried to prevent the wash trading and the farming. So we're hoping that a lot of this volume is actually real volume. And the way that they did it is they just didn't give tokens to those who were buying. It was only if you were to list an NFT. And so this would hopefully prevent a lot of the wash trading. We'll see what happened. But anyway, big thing for the industry. We need a little bit of excitement. Tokens always do that. So we like to see it. And this NFT marketplace war just continues. And it's been really fun to watch. I'm actually in the middle of doing a pro report for them right now. Next week, it will come out called The Great NFT Marketplace War. And I sort of walk through the ins and outs of what's happened with all these marketplaces. It's been one of the most interesting, I think, market share battles in crypto for sure, but, really in all technologies. So it's very interesting to watch. And Blur is one of the big competitors now in this space.
Couple things that I want to touch on. First is you mentioned that they had some mechanics to try to make sure that this airdrop did not go to wash traders. Now, when I did some research into this, the top 3 wallets that made the most amount of Blur tokens, which, as you said, the number one wallet had 3.2 million Blur tokens, and Blur token is trading at about 60 cents right now. So that's about $1.4 million in US dollars that wallet got. That's serious money. It's pretty clear that top wallet was a wash trader. And it's pretty clear that wallets 2 and 3 were also wash traders. So I don't know, did their mechanisms not work? Was there just wash traders that were smart enough to get around it? I think what advanced wash traders would do is they would just have coordinated group efforts, right? You'd make a group of, 10 to 20 people, and you'd get real smart about how to make sure that Blur couldn't see that it was wash trading by just everybody lists and then everybody else knows to grab and buy at that same time. And so it's coordinated effort. I don't know. I mean, I hope that they eliminated wash trading, because if they didn't, then this is not doing what they want it to do.
Man, after doing this report, which is almost done now, just looking at the volumes in the NFT marketplaces over the last couple of years, a large percent of the volumes that we see or we think that we're having in this industry are just wash trading. It's crazy. It's an interesting story, to be honest, and it's wild to uncover, but I think our numbers are so inflated. Now, I do think a token can be a great idea to vampire attack a protocol that's, kind of dominant, but they just need to do it in a different way because these are just not working.
So then here's the next question. So this was, Blur is calling this season 1, and this was the season 1 airdrop that just happened this week. And now we're in season 2. Is this a sustainable strategy to continually do seasons and continue to do airdrops? I mean, all that's going to do is deflate your token because you're just putting out more and more supply with each season. Can you do this forever? Kai, what do you think?
I mean, you definitely can't. You could. I mean, I guess Ethereum is going to inflate for forever, but it's actually going to deflate because they have a burn mechanism, right? So if Blur finds a way to introduce a burn mechanism, I think if they introduce that, then it's fine. The way that Blur is doing this right now, or that many of these marketplaces have done it, is for those who trade, the fees that are earned, they just pay out some of those fees to the users or to those staking the tokens. That's what X2Y2 did. If they had a way where you need to stake your Blur tokens in order to receive anything, and instead of inflating the currency, they just 50% or whatever percent of the fees that Blur is actually earning, okay, maybe that's a way to make it more sustainable. And then also maybe they find a way to burn some of it as well. There's definitely a way to make this work. Just not in the beginning, because in the beginning they need to make a bang and it needs to be a lot of money. It needs to get people really excited. And that's why they have to airdrop these tokens. Airdropping is never really, it's a good idea if you want to get governance out, you want to decentralize, which is part of Blur's idea here. But like, it's going to tank your token. It always does. Even, I mean, I think the price of Blur when it first dropped was $5. It's now at 60 cents. It's been 24 hours. You know what I mean? And I guarantee it goes, well, I don't want to guarantee anything, but probably goes lower as more people claim the tokens and start selling them, right? So definitely this strategy is not sustainable, but I think that we can find a sustainable strategy for marketplaces. And I think it's a smart idea because those who are using it should probably earn some tokens or should earn some revenues from it and thus have some say on governance, right? That's kind of the idea of this whole thing. So I like it. I just don't know that anyone's nailed it yet. So we'll figure that one out though.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you bring up burn mechanisms because that's our next story. But I just want to bring up one more point on Blur is they also have updated their royalty policy just this week.
Again.
And in their new royalty policy, there's 3 options for how they will honor royalties or won't honor royalties on their platform because they're optional. And their recommended option, this is recommended, is block OpenSea. Says our preference is that creators should be able to earn royalties on all marketplaces that they whitelist rather than being forced to choose. To encourage this, Blur enforces full royalties on collections that block trading on OpenSea.
Like I said, it's the great NFT marketplace war. It is literally war. And I'm telling you, the story is when I talk about LooksRare and SudoSwap and X2Y2 and the things that they have done over the last year and a half has been, it's amazing. But this one might trump it all. Like literally just straight up saying block them and we'll give you the royalties. Wild.
Love to see it. All right, what we got next, Kai?
Okay, so Avery retweeted here, and Avery was actually on the podcast this week, and she's the president of Vayner3. She did an amazing job explaining what's going on with brands in Web3 and kind of what that market is. So if you haven't listened to that one, go do it. But she is sharing here that Veefriends has just announced a new technology called Burn Island, which they say is our future of NFT burning and rewards. And they call it a deflationary technology. Well, let me explain what it is first, and then I'll talk about the technology behind it. So basically, it's a way for Veefriends holders to burn NFTs. And when you burn your NFT, you can receive rewards, right? So you can either get another NFT, you can get physical merch, you can get access to events, different things like that. You don't know what you're going to get. And so there's different events around it. So it's kind of like a fun gamified thing where you can sacrifice NFTs, and it can be your Veefriends, which remember, these things are worth a lot of money. Like, what's the floor of a Veefriends? It's got to be a couple ETH.
I'm not a Veefriends holder, but I would guess it's probably somewhere between 3 to 6 ETH.
Right. And so like decent amount of money to just go and burn it and go, hopefully.
I don't know that you can burn your Veefriend though. I don't think you can. I think you can only burn a Veefriend 2.
Maybe. They said anything with the smart contracts of Veefriends. So it was the book one. Anyway, there's a bunch, but you can even burn non-Veefriends tokens. So you can burn NFTs that have nothing to do with this. Really, it's not built just for Veefriends. It's built for the whole ecosystem as a way to like this cool game where you can come in, burn your shit and hope you get something. So really cool. It's funny that if you watch the video, Gary Vee's explaining it and he says this amazing new deflationary technology. And what's hilarious is all it is there's just a wallet that no one has the seed phrase for. And all you do is you send your NFT to that wallet and now it's burned. That's how a burning mechanism works. Now, I know they have some other stuff where you get some rewards and things for whatever you burn, but like ultimately that's what you're doing. But anyway, love to see it. I don't know what it's going to bring. We'll see. I think the first launch is the 21st of February is what they said. But it's a great way to add tokenomics to your NFT collections. I don't know what Veefriends is. Let's say it's 10,000. I have no idea how many there are in there. But if all of a sudden you can start burning things to get other things, that makes Veefriends or whatever other NFTs participate in this technology here in the Burn Island. It makes your NFT become more and more rare as more people participate and play, which will ultimately drive value and increase value. Most likely, as long as there's demand for your collection, it will increase the floor price or the value of those NFTs, which I think is fantastic. It's creating a great experience, which we always talk about. This is the one thing you want to do, right? It's giving ownership to those who are part of the community or a part of whatever this NFT represents. And now it creates this burning mechanism where you're lowering supply and making it more scarce, which as long as, again, you are creating demand for these NFTs, it can only make the price go up if there is more demand. So again, we talk about this a lot with ETH and what they're doing. And so Gary Vee's doing the same thing now with NFTs, which is just really cool. I haven't seen anyone really do this yet in this form. And so I'm excited to see where they take this and how many other collections end up participating here.
This is classic Gary Vee being just a master of grabbing attention. Here he is grabbing attention back to his ecosystem, the full Veefriends ecosystem, with a fun game. I think one thing that a lot of us forget is crypto is currently the best use case of blockchain. It's the most widely used. It is having the largest impact. However, most people aren't that interested in finance as a topic, right, which is what I would put crypto into. It's too complex. I don't care. Whereas games, trading, buying, selling, that's why NFTs brought in so many new people. So here's Gary Vee just making something really fun that people can participate in. It's going to grab attention. And it also gives people something to do. They're not investing in NFTs. Sure, Kyle, you're right. There's the whole wash traders, and there's a lot of that as part of the current trading. But there's also a lot of people that are just here to do cool stuff and have fun. And they love the idea of, oh, if I burn this in some lava volcano, cool. What does that mean? Oh, something pops out the other side and I get a piece of merch, or I get to attend some event, or, I don't even think they necessarily care. It's that dopamine hit of playing and doing something.
And here's the plot twist that if this happens, then I'm out of the space. I'm done, because I just can't take it anymore. But imagine everyone starts to burn, and I'm doing that in quotations, their NFT. They all send it into this wallet, and Gary Vee just walks away with like thousands of high profile NFTs and just makes millions. And listen, I don't think Gary Vee will do that. I don't even know how you verify that the wallet is actually a burnable one. But anyway, that would be like the ultimate rug.
Why did they set it up like that? Like, they could have set it up where it's actually a burn.
That is the way that you burn it, I think.
Really?
Yeah. I think even that's how ETH does it. Yeah.
Interesting.
People can correct me if they know, but I'm pretty sure that's the way that it's done. This is what I looked up anyway and learned.
Very interesting. All right, well, let's get on to the next story. Web3 commerce. This is a topic that has not quite hit mainstream yet, but Third Web has partnered with Shopify to really be the leader in Web3 commerce. What do I mean when I say Web3 commerce? Well, right now, Shopify is one of the biggest commerce platforms in the world that allows anybody to set up a shop to sell literally any physical item. And what Third Web does is it brings into any Shopify shop the Connect Wallet feature. So now, rather than buying with your credit card, you can connect your wallet and buy with your wallet. Obviously, this changes the way you purchase. There might be some more self-sovereignty involved here, because you might not have to give as much personal information. But at the same time, obviously, you're buying a physical good. You have to give your name and your address in order to receive that physical good. But you could send it to a PO box or something like that. But also, this also allows for token-gated experiences. Web3 Academy could launch a shop right now, and we could have a hat that is only available to Web3 Academy Pro members. We could have a t-shirt that's only available to Moonbird holders, because Moonbirds are on chain, and we could connect to that smart contract and say, oh, this merch is only available for this community. So you really can get into this incredible token gating of merch and token gating of different communities. It's a really big unlock. Super, super excited to see it. I think so early days in Web3 commerce.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. So like token gating, I mean, they've already had token gating for a little bit. I think the big unlock here with Connect Wallet is you don't have to create an account, right? So whatever store I'm buying from, usually you have to create some sort of account typically to actually do this. You got to give your email and all that kind of stuff. Now you don't have to do that. Your account is your wallet, as we always say. And now you can just connect it. Your account is now made. Your data doesn't go into their server. They don't need to store your stuff, because it sucks when they store your name and your credit card information and your address. And you don't know what store this is. It could be some janky little store. I guess it's all done in Shopify.
It's all Shopify, yeah.
Yeah, it's all Shopify, which is not a janky little store. But anyway, still an attack vector. Not good for the internet, not what we want. And so this removes all of that. Now, like you said, you still got to put your address, whatever. That's fine. Or you could do a PO box, whatever. The key thing is it's a lot less data that Shopify has to store, which is great for them. We don't have to go through the process of creating accounts. And then you don't even have to put your credit card information in, because it's just you connect your wallet. Your money's already in your wallet. So it's a little bit of everything. It's your account and your bank account, like your profile and your bank account all in one. You just connect in, buy your thing, and then leave. And then they can create more experiences, as you said, based off of the things that are in that wallet. So it's super cool. And again, it's just kind of the next phase of e-commerce.
I had a great conversation with Tim Boss, who's the CEO of ShareRing. It's a podcast that's going to be coming out in 2 weeks all about digital identity and self-custody of digital identity. But he brought up that they are talking to a lot of large institutions, government institutions, large companies, and they don't want to store the data. Some of these companies want the data because they profit off the data, right? A lot of Web2 companies profit off of it. But a lot of other companies, they don't want to store all this data because if they do store it, then they have to secure it. They have to pay for the storage, which is very expensive to have all the servers. And they have to pay a ton of money to make sure it's secure, because if some hacker can get in, single point entry, you can access everything or a lot of things. So there's this big wave, I think, coming of people saying, hey, I don't want to store my data. Oh, wow. Decentralized storage offers me another way to store data that now I don't have to pay all these costs for it. I think it's going to be something we're going to see a lot more companies go in that direction.
Once they understand that. I think right now a lot of companies don't quite get that yet, but we're doing our part to educate.
Well, next Monday, just a few days from when this comes out, we have a deep dive all on decentralized storage. So make sure you check that out. I wasn't even trying to tee that up. Jeez, we're so in line. Look at that.
Great plug, Jay. Okay, next up, the worst Super Bowl commercial I've ever seen. No, I'm just kidding. You started off, Jay.
How could we not talk about this? We talked about the Super Bowl last week and the fact that there weren't going to be any crypto ads. We knew that Limit Break, which is a Web3 gaming company started by Gabe Layton. Gabe Layton is a leader in Web2, or more so mobile gaming. He was the founder of Mobile Strike, which is the one that had the Arnold Schwarzenegger ads that people might remember. So they did a Super Bowl commercial, cost them $6.5 million for 30 seconds. If you didn't see the Super Bowl commercial, I can explain it to you in less than 30 seconds. It was a QR code on screen that said, scan here. And it was some characters from the Digidaiku universe or ecosystem jumping around. It did not look Super Bowl quality. Let me put it that way. When you've got Uber doing a commercial with P. Diddy next to these shitty cartoons and a QR code.
No one knew who these cartoons were either.
No, there's no
it's not like
context.
Anyone had heard of them. You want to put Mario up there. Okay, we all know who Mario is. That makes sense.
No,
I don't know.
Zero context, zero story. So you had no idea what it was. But the one thing that this ad did do was very clearly tell you to scan this QR code. So what happens if you scan the QR code? Well, you were supposed to be able to mint a free NFT. However, the collection that Limit Break offered, or Digidaiku offered, was only 10,000 NFTs, and they actually held 6,000 of them back. So they only were minting 4,000. So you got 110 million people watching this. We don't know how many people scanned, but I'm guessing that millions of people scanned this NFT. From what we heard from doing research, Raul, our social media guy, shout out, was talking to a bunch of people who were all over this, trying to mint this NFT. Because if you did mint it, I heard that some people were able to flip it and sell it for $500, $600, $700. So some people were trying to be on top of this. And if you did scan to mint right when the commercial played, apparently they had already minted out the 4,000 ahead of time. So you couldn't even mint it.
He tweeted it a couple minutes before the commercial actually went out. And so everyone who was on Twitter already saw it. He rugged the Super Bowl fans, which is insane. And then what they did is they just redirected it. You didn't even go to the mint. You just went to his Twitter. And so he literally did a Super Bowl ad, said, scan me, and it went to his Twitter account. So he's now got 1 million followers, this Gabriel Layden guy. I think he had 100,000 or 200,000 or something like that.
He's several 100,000. I don't think he got 1 million. I think he got less than 500K.
Do you have the tweet that he put? So he sent them all this tweet, a pinned tweet on the thing. And here was my problem with this whole thing. So first of all, the commercial was terrible, right? But whatever, that's fine. A lot of people do terrible commercials. What does it say? Like the world's biggest free mint or something like that, which is like no one knows what that even means, bro. Like who are you even talking to? You know what I mean? It just doesn't even make sense to say that. It's like he lives in his own little bubble on crypto Twitter with the 30 people that are here all buying each other's JPEGs, and like forgets that 99.9% of the world has no idea what the hell a free mint even means. And then you get to his Twitter and he had all capitals on his tweets, mint this thing, retweet this. It was like all the things that I hate about NFT drops, where you have to do these stupid white lists and you got to follow this thing and share this thing, like the most scammy, ridiculous things where it's all capital letters and like the big red alarms and it says free and urgent, blah, blah, blah. It was all that. all these things. And so you have millions of people who, one, don't even know what the hell he's talking about, but are scanning this thing because, like you said, that's just what you do when you ask them to scan something. And which that's Web 2 habits right there, right? Don't do that in Web 3. If you just click buttons, you're going to lose your shit, which is exactly what happened here. He sends all these people to get a MetaMask wallet and to start doing all this stuff, right? Sign transactions and follow this thing and do this. And so all these new people come on. What do the scammers do? They start running ads, pretending to be him, which is so easy to do, and putting all these phishing ads out there. And so a bunch of people now are starting to get their wallets drained because this idiot decided to go and send the most ridiculous QR code ad thing to 120 million people who don't know what they're doing. Terrible job on his part. It makes Web3 look like shit for anyone that actually even realized that this was Web3. I don't even know. It was so bad. You might not even realize that. And then those who like kind of already knew what Web3 was and luckily had a MetaMask probably got scammed and got their wallets drained. So terrible for people that are already in the space or like dipping their toes in the space. And just like basically what this guy did was paid $6.5 million to get about 800,000 Twitter followers. Which people are like, oh yeah, that's great. He got attention and he got these followers and that's great. Dude, this guy paid almost $10 a follower on Twitter. That's terrible. I run a marketing agency. I can go on Twitter right now and get anyone followers on Twitter for 50 cents a piece. That's it, 50 cents. This guy spent $10. It's a terrible job. All the way through was terrible. Absolutely hated it. I wish it never existed. Gabriel Layden, I hope your reputation in Web3 is now completely squashed because that sucked. Embarrassment. What are your thoughts, Jay?
I love when you get fired up, man.
Jay's like, what do you mean? I minted 3 of them.
I certainly did not. I agree with everything you're saying. Shitty ad puts a lot of people at risk. It opens up to a lot of phishing attacks, all of that. What I find interesting about this is, unfortunately, gimmicks work. For better or for worse, they do work. We've seen it. I mean, gimmicks are nothing new. There's been gimmick advertising since the beginning of Mad Men, and advertising became a thing. People want free stuff. It's easy to get people with big red flashing lights and win here sweepstakes. I mean, that's Vegas to a T, right? And what I'm curious to see is right now it's several different NFT collections. The main collection, which has a floor of 7 or 8 ETH, actually quite a high floor. But all of these collections have been free collections to start. You get it for free either because you're airdropped it because you're a current holder, or you take an action to get. And so Gabe Layden is trying to create this free to own model, and he's experimenting with it. And with the Super Bowl, he was experimenting with it using a QR code, scan a QR code, and then go to get something for free. And now, obviously, I don't know why they didn't do the scale. Reddit in the same week minted 1 million NFTs to NFL fans, right? So why Gabe Layden didn't go and mint 1 million free NFTs?
Right,
for
that
his
would have been
fans,
great.
I'm not sure.
Do you know what I mean? That would have been great. Get 1 million people, 10 million. I don't know how many people clicked, and they all get to experience NFT for the first time. Great. But instead you don't let them get it and you redirect them to Twitter. Like it just doesn't even make any sense. Let me give a little piece of advice for anyone who's going to run a marketing campaign, whether you're the biggest company in the world or a small company in the world. Yes, gimmicks work. Gimmicks work short term. They don't work long term. I'm not saying don't use gimmicks. I use gimmicks all the time. But the key is this: build a reputable brand that gives a lot of value first. Okay. Continue to give lots of value. And then throughout that journey of giving value and building up your reputation, you use gimmicks throughout to make people take actions. Humans are lazy, so they don't take action. And so if you want people to take action, you got to use urgency. You got to use these kind of gimmicks. Sure, that's fine. But do it as a part of a broader strategy where you focus on value and reputation, and then you use gimmicks every month or every couple months to make people take the next step in your sales journey or whatever it is that you're selling. It's not like these were people that were in his ecosystem before. It was 120 million people that have never heard of DigiDaiku and probably never want to hear about it again for the rest of their lives, like myself. You don't start it off with gimmicks. You start off with value. You teach them something, you give them something, and then you do gimmicks later on. Right. So yeah, terrible job, in my opinion. What do you think, Jay? Anything else on that? Should we move on?
Let's connect into the next story, just because we're just gonna yell. Speaking about gimmicks, CoffeeZilla has investigated and uncovered one of the biggest gimmickers in the NFT space. Kai, you want to tell us what happened here?
Yeah, this is a great story. So I hate that we have to keep talking about all these scams that happen in Web3. One day I hope it just stops. It kind of boils my blood. But anyway, this is actually really awesome. So Dylan Dennis, I believe his name, he's an MMA fighter. He's been known to be shilling like different NFTs and tokens for the last little while. And so CoffeeZilla, who's like an investigative reporter, I don't know if that's what we call him, but an investigative reporter for like crypto scams and stuff.
YouTube investigator, basically.
Yeah. And so he contacts Dylan Dennis and says, hey, I have this new NFT and I would like you to promote it for me. And we'll pay you, I think it was $5,000. And so Dylan Dennis says, okay, the name of the NFT, by the way, was Sours NFT Candies Are Moonbound. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the abbreviation of that is scam, but this guy didn't notice that at the time. And so basically what they did is they said they pay him $5,000. They paid him $1,000 to start. And he just had to tweet out a picture of the NFT collection and a link. And so they made him sign a contract to make it look legit. In the contract, in the fine print, they literally put, this is a scam. What you're supposed to be putting out is not actually the link that we're going to send you. Like they told the whole thing that he was going to do the whole time. But this guy didn't even read the contract, just signed it, took the money, $1,000. And he tweets out the promotion for this NFT. And he says to check out this NFT. When you click on the link, what this guy did was the CoffeeZilla rugged it and basically redirected this link to a web page that said, have you been scammed by Dylan Dennis? And it listed off all of the NFT projects and tokens that he has basically been promoting that were scams over the last, whatever it was, year or two. And so this guy left it up for, I'm not sure how long it ended up being up for, but quite a while on his Twitter, and didn't realize that he was sending all of his followers to a web page that was exposing all of the scams that he's done. Absolutely incredible execution. This is how you execute right here. Okay. CoffeeZilla, well done. I mean, I hate that people are getting scammed. This is how you do it right here. That was well done.
I got nothing wrong with people using their influence to promote other projects, right? But two things. One, don't be a fucking dickhead and promote a project that you don't even look into, you don't even read and do due diligence on. And two, when you do promote a project, make sure that you disclose that you promoted that project. Right. Now, obviously, Dylan Dennis is like a horrible human, probably deserves to go jump off a cliff with Gabe Layton. That might be a bit extreme. But they can go right off into the sunset together. How about that?
At least Gabe Layton is like trying to do things in the technology world of Web3. I want to say that. I know you talked about it a couple weeks ago, I think, on the roll up. And so like he's at least trying to like innovate in the space, but just terrible at marketing execution.
I wish we could move to some good news. This isn't necessarily bad news, but tell us about what's going on with the SEC. Lots of talk on the SEC this week, all over crypto Twitter. Bring us up to speed, Kai.
I was debating if we were even going to talk about this, but I think it's getting quite big. A lot of people are hearing about it. If you're on crypto Twitter, then you've definitely heard about it. It's getting some coverage in the media. And that's the SEC has taken some action over the last 2 weeks in a couple different areas of the blockchain Web3 crypto world. One is on stablecoins. The other is on staking as a service. I'm going to break down kind of what they've done and what those are, and then give some takes on it. So the first thing that the SEC did, which is the Securities and Exchange Commission run by Gary Gensler, is they forced Kraken, who is a very reputable, one of the longest standing exchanges in the US. There's basically Coinbase and there's Kraken. That's all that's left at this point. But they were doing what's called staking as a service. So as we know, most of the blockchains other than Bitcoin are now proof of stake, including Ethereum since it's merged. And you can stake your native token. So you can stake your ETH, let's say, and you got to run a validator and you help to secure the blockchain, and you can earn some APY, some percentage back if you do that. I mean, it's pretty easy, but it's not everyone knows how to run a validator. So what companies have done, some protocols like Rocket Pool and Lido, and some exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken, is said, hey, we'll do it for you. You give us your money, we'll run the validator, and we'll stake it for you. That's what staking as a service is. This has become $1 billion industry in the last couple of years. They go to $1 trillion industry in the future. So it's very big. Now, the unfortunate thing is that the SEC came and told Kraken that they need to shut down their staking as a service program. And they gave them a Wells notice, said they were going to take them to court, all this stuff. Basically what happened was Kraken had to pay $30 million to basically get rid of the lawsuit, and is now shutting down their staking as a service program. So very unfortunate. And this worried a lot of people and said, okay, the SEC, Gary Gensler, they're coming after staking as a service. They're coming after the US and basically going to move this entire new industry out of the US. And now Americans aren't going to be able to stake and all this stuff. Brian Armstrong, the CEO and founder of Coinbase, actually tweeted out and said, Coinbase's staking services are not securities. We will happily defend this in court if needed. So this is Coinbase saying like, hey, come after us. We're going to deal with this in court. Now, the one thing I want to say is this. First of all, I hate Gary Gensler just like everyone else in the crypto space. I think he's a piece of shit. Maybe he could go jump off a cliff too, or whatever he said.
We're being savages.
Yeah, this is an aggressive day. We're in a good mood. I'm not going to lie. I don't know why we're so pissed. Anyway, the thing to understand about this, I actually don't know that the SEC is doing the wrong thing here. We'll see what happens. If they go after Coinbase, then okay, then they have ill intentions. Right now, I'm not sure that they do. They haven't done anything to stop like the protocols like Rocket Pool and Lido, which is decentralized. You just pool your ETH with another group and it's all done through a protocol and it validates for you, okay? Coinbase, same thing. You give the money to Coinbase, but they then stake all of it. There's no hidden details of what's happening with your money. You know exactly what's happening. It goes, they stake it, and then you actually get a liquid token that shows how much you've staked, right? Whereas Kraken, on the other hand, doesn't have that liquid token. And also, when you look through the details of their staking service, they're not even staking all of your ETH. And I don't know why that is. Nothing against Kraken. I think they're very reputable. I think Jesse Powell is the founder there, has been amazing in the space. But they're holding back some of your ETH and doing something with it. And so you're getting an APY, which is what FTX and Genesis and all the problems that we've had over the last little while have done, is they said, hey, we'll take your crypto, we're going to do something with it, and you're going to give you, some sort of return. That makes sense if you're staking it all, because the blockchain's giving you that money. We know where it's coming from. But with Kraken, not all of it was getting staked. And so I actually think what Gary Gensler has done here in the SEC might actually be good. Now, I'm not saying Kraken was doing anything wrong or was going to do anything bad with your money. Maybe they had a reason for that, but it wasn't listed in their details and we didn't actually know. And so it's opaque, right? Because it's hidden. It's not transparent. And we don't want that in this industry. We know what that does. 2022 was, the highlight of all this. I think it sucks, but maybe they're doing the right thing and they're forcing Kraken to do it the right way. Now, could they have just said, Kraken, change your policy and make sure you stake it all and it's all good? They didn't do that. He decided to be a dick about it, make him pay $30 million and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I wouldn't take the shit of anyone in the centralized crypto space right now based off of what happened last year. So I think people need to hold on, and maybe this is actually for the better. So let's just chill on that. Now, the reason people are getting really pumped about this is because then a couple of days later, the SEC comes out and puts a Wells notice here on Paxos. Paxos is a highly regulated American company again, and they are the ones that facilitate all the crypto for PayPal and for a lot of big institutions in the US. They also are the one that does the minting for Binance USD, which is a stable coin, which is by Binance, but it's all backed one from one and is regulated and legit. But again, the SEC came in, said, you need to shut this down. You can no longer mint for BUSD because they're claiming that this stablecoin is a security, which is a little bit insane because a security is like an investment to make something. This is just pegged to the dollar. How could it be a security? So anyway, Paxos has had to do this. As a result, PayPal was about to launch a stablecoin. They backed out because they're like, well, we don't know what to do here with regulation. And everyone is, oh my God, America's now trying to go after stablecoins and they're going to crack down on all stablecoins and we're all screwed. Circle's next, the USDC, Tether, blah, blah, blah. Again, people need to chill the hell out. None of that has happened yet. Okay, I'm not saying it won't, but none of it's happened yet. Why are they doing this? Well, it's specific to Binance, not stablecoins. Look, stablecoins are massive. And if the SEC goes after stablecoins, this is a big problem for our industry because stablecoins are the number one app for blockchains right now. It's 20% of the total crypto market in terms of value is in stablecoins, right? Staking as a service is also a big point of that. So these are two really big applications on blockchain. So this matters. I get it. But the SEC is concerned about Binance because, again, it is a centralized company that is not audited at all. And millions and millions and millions of users use it. There are American users that hold on to BUSD. And we don't know what assets Binance has. Now, we hope to the Lord that Binance has these assets because if it goes down, it's the biggest exchange in the world, bigger than Coinbase. We're all fucked. But again, I think, and I'm giving Gary the benefit of the doubt, I don't know why, that he's just saying, look, we don't know what's going on there. Let's just, again, protect investors. And so that's what they're doing. Now, if all of a sudden they go after Circle, which we already know is audited and has done a great job, okay, we have some bigger issues. But until then, guys, let's relax. I think we're okay. The market tanked after all these things happened. Everyone started tripping balls and said it's the new checkpoint 2.0, which is they're trying to shut down the whole crypto industry. Just relax. That's not the case. And you know what? These regulation things always happen in crypto. They've happened for 10 years now, and they always happen a bunch together. And yes, it sucks and it's scary, but we always continue on. We either build something new or the regulation doesn't actually go through, and it's all just talk. it's all politics. It takes a long time for any of this to actually happen. So like, all I'm saying is relax. It's probably not as bad as we all think it is. And it seems like they have a little bit of reason for this, you know? And after last year, they should have the benefit of the doubt, to be completely fair.
Whew. Everybody take a deep breath. Jeez. We're fired up, so you guys can relax. How about that?
And I would say some advice to anyone who's American that's listening to this. Jake Travinsky, who's like one of the top lawyers in the crypto space, he was the one that kind of was like, look, guys, it's not that bad just yet. Anyway, it could be bad, but it's not. But he's like, look, we can write letters to our, I don't know what you call it, like your mayors or your like jurisdiction or whatever, and let them know that you support crypto, you support Web3, and you use this technology in your business, you use this technology for whatever reason. And the more that we do that, the more that representatives in the US are going to fight for this. So let's not cry about it. Let's not whine about it. Like a lot of this might not be as bad as you think, but like go write letters, talk to the people in your jurisdiction and like, let's fight for this. Because ultimately this is our freedom to transact and to do things. But overall, I think it's fine. Ryan Selkis summed it up quite well. He's the founder of Masari. He's really heavy into the politics stuff. And he made a bunch of calls to a bunch of people in the policy world and basically said these are just enforcement actions, are facts, which are based around one, targeting Binance, which we know is probably a good thing. And it was just about the mechanics of Kraken staking. It's not staking as a service in general. So overall, I think we're all good. It looks like the markets have figured that out because of the last 24 hours, we pumped like crazy. So I think people are starting to relax there. There was a bit of a scare, but it's all good. Anything to add to that, Jay?
No, I think you did a great job, Kai. Thanks for wrapping that for everybody. All right. Well, everybody take a deep breath.
I did a lot of reading on that. So none of you guys had to,
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
So we're going to wrap up here with our quick hits. And the first quick hit is Airdrop launches open source donations and raises over 11 ETH for Turkey earthquake relief. What's up, Jay?
Yeah, so Airdrop, which is actually a project of a couple of friends of the show. So shout out to the team behind this. They've created a cool tech here. So we've all heard of POAP, which is proof of attendance protocol. Well, Airdrop has created proof of donation. So any charity can use Airdrop to bring their charitable campaign on chain. So now when you make a donation through an Airdrop campaign, you get a little badge. It actually, funny enough, looks very much like a POAP in that it's a circle. And you get that badge in your wallet that says proof that you made this donation. Now, what that does is it can lead to the organization that is receiving those funds. It can lead to them. Now, their donations are also on chain. So the way that they then go and spend and allocate those resources is now more transparent. So we actually heard, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, Russell Wilson, who's an NFL quarterback, news came out that his foundation only allocates 25 cents for every dollar to the actual charities that they are supporting, which is just an awful rate, right? Like usually you're targeting for more of like 80 cents on every dollar. Sure, you have 20 cents that you need to spend on your own admin and your own business, keeping the lights on, blah, blah, blah. But you try to push most towards giving to the people in need. And so in the case of Russell Wilson, we don't know what the actual number is. Was this media speculating and it's just them grabbing attention? Is this real? And we're not sure. But if this was on chain, then we would know. And so Airdrop, shout out for bringing donations on chain and for creating this proof of donation platform. And as Kai said, their first campaign that they ran was for relief for the Turkey earthquake, and they raised over 11 ETH for it. Look, it's not massive numbers. This isn't changing the world, but these are how things start, nice and small. So good news, good news.
Good news. What's also really cool about this is if in fact, Jay and I did launch a hat for Web3 Academy Pro subscribers through Shopify and token gated it, we could also say, oh, if you also donated to the Turkey earthquake relief, then you can get access as well. And we don't need to know who they are. We don't need to call up Airdrop and ask. We can just use their token. And so that
and maybe we give it for free to them because we believe that's our way of donating to Turkey. Right?
Ooh, who wants that?
Yeah, there's so much you can do here. I just want a quick shill. We have an upcoming episode. I just met with Nate Goslin, who's the product lead at Gitcoin. And Gitcoin's really the leader in charitable funding and bringing all of that on chain using quadratic funding as a mechanism. And that it's just going to be one of the best episodes, one of my favorite episodes. It comes out next week. So make sure you check that out if you want to deep dive, if you care about that space. Okay, next up. Ordinals, NFTs on Bitcoin, over 120,000 NFTs minted.
Like we said, it was going pretty well exponential last week, so it's still continuing to grow and get traction. It's pretty cool. 120,000 is great on Bitcoin. It pales in comparison to anything that's going on, let's say, Polygon, for example, or Solana or Ethereum. I think last I checked, Polygon was minting, like 20,000 NFT collections, so smart contracts in, I think it was a day or a week, I can't remember. Bitcoin's counting, every NFT. Polygon's doing 20,000 collections, which let's say they're all 10,000, because it's what everyone does, even Gabe. These numbers are they're actually tiny, but I mean, cool for Bitcoin. We'll keep you posted if anything else cool happens. But other than that, it's growing somewhat sort of fast. But
yeah, I mean, the other funny thing about this is just like, actually buying and selling these things is a freaking joke right now. We talked about this last week, but there's no marketplace set up for this. Yeah. It's all over the counter trades. You've got to be in Discords and like finding the person that has it and then making a deal with it. I mean, oh my gosh.
Like if this was 2016, this would be really cool. It'd be fast adoption. It would be fun, whatever. But it's like, there's no tech around these NFTs. If any other blockchain minted 120,000 NFTs, no one would bat an eye.
Nobody would bat an eye.
You know what I mean? So it's actually not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things for NFTs. Okay, next up, major Paris and LA museums featuring CryptoPunks.
Yeah, we've talked about this in the past. Look, art is obviously one of the biggest use cases for NFTs to date. Because when you think about what an NFT could be in the beginning, everybody said, okay, let's make them digital art. Let's make them JPEGs. And what's really cool about this story is for the first time now, we are seeing some of the leading generative art make it into major museums. I'm talking about the LACMA, which is the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, one of the largest museums in the US. And I'm talking about the leading museum in Paris, which oh my gosh, if I try to pronounce it, my French is brutal. It is called Centre Pompidou. I hope I said that right. Forgive me if I didn't. And they're now displaying CryptoPunks, autoglyphs, ringers, some of the leading NFT collections in their museums, which is alongside Andy Warhol's and Picasso's. Now, these were donations to these museums. So this is a bit of a marketing play from some of these collections, large collectors who care about their assets are saying, hey, I want my assets to be in a museum and it'll pump the rest of my bag. So there's a bit of marketing behind this, but on the whole, really positive news for the space, because this shows that, museums, which are sort of slow moving organizations, are supporting generative art and believe that these pieces of art should be hung alongside some of the most famous artists of all time.
Pretty cool.
Next up, really ETH goes ultrasound.
Yeah, if we look at the chart here, so this is a little bit crazy what's happening right now. And it's interesting. All the things we just talked about that are happening in Web3, as a result of all of that, remember what happens here? For those that are pro subscribers and have seen my report on ETH tokenomics, the more activity that happens on Ethereum, the more we burn ETH, the more deflationary it comes, which is a wonderful thing in an inflationary environment, which we're in right now. And right now, ETH is just burning and burning. So much damn ETH is insane. A few thousand ETH per day at the moment. And so it took a while after the merge to get fully deflationary. But if you can see the chart here up on the screen, it's just a straight line up in the amount of ETH being burned. But in the amount of supply of ETH in total, it's just a straight line down. A lot of this is happening over the last 24 hours as a result of Blur. So as an NFT marketplace launches its token and wants to reward its users for playing around with NFTs, what happens? Well, it burns a bunch of ETH, which is great for the Ethereum network and the Ethereum holders. It makes it more secure, it makes the price go up, which makes everyone who holds ETH happy. So a lot of good things come from the ETH burn, and it's exciting to watch this play out as we all predicted many, many years ago once the merge would occur.
As more transactions are happening because of more activity in the Ethereum ecosystem, which we project will continue to happen, ETH goes more deflationary. Incredible.
You got it. All right, last up, 6529. That's Punk 6529. If you guys don't follow him on Twitter, you probably should. He announces Meme Land. What's that?
Yeah, so he's actually shortened his name just to 6529. Apparently, he's no longer. I know he's Punk 6529 on Twitter, but his brand now is just 6529. NFTs gave us numbers as brands. Anyways, I won't even get into that. But what happened was on Valentine's Day this week, 6529 announced Meme Lab. So 6529 believes very strongly in the power of three things: NFTs to capture culture, and memes to capture culture, and then the opportunity for memes to capture value by minting them as NFTs and selling them on chain. And so Meme Lab is a project where every day there is a featured artist will have a meme available for a limited supply, and you will be able to mint it. So let's take a look at what today's is. Today is Memes in the Sky, it's called. It's the sale opened actually when we just started recording. So there's 982 of these available at 0.032 ETH. This is by no means investment advice, but a very cool project to feature artists and to feature culture and bring it on chain, because one of the biggest issues with memes right now is that it is so hard to prove ownership or history of the meme, right? You know, we all create these memes and it's like, who created that first, right? Well, shouldn't the creator get some credit for that? Well, if you're a meme creator now, what you can do is you can go to Meme Lab and you can use Meme Lab to create your meme, and then your meme is on chain. It'll show that you were the original of this, and you get validity and verification of the sort of the history of that meme. It's a cool project. Love to see it.
6529, doing big things.
All right. Well, that's a show. Kai, we got a little aggressive there. You get fired up in this space. We care so much about it. We're just so passionate. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you all have a great weekend. Make sure you check out next week's show. If you're a pro member, make sure you look for the pro report that just came out yesterday on ETH. If you're not a pro member, go subscribe to Pro and learn more about what's going on chain, eyes on chain, as we like to say. Have a great weekend, everybody. Catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to Web3 Academy. We hope this helps you along your Web3 journey. And if it does, please share this episode and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Nothing in this podcast was financial advice. Crypto and Web3 can be risky. You can literally lose it all. In fact, if you invest on account of what we say, you probably will lose it all. So don't do that. In all honesty, the point of this podcast is to remove the noise of markets and price and focus on utility and implementation anyway. So you should not take any of this as financial advice. Thank you, friends, and see you in the next one.